What's good, y'all? It's Winston A. Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blurred, and I'm here for another episode of the Quarantine series. Now, you got a chance to meet Emmy before 2 weeks ago, and he told you a little bit about what it's like being a black man in the film industry. You got to talk to Chris Saint last week, and he told us about body piercing and being a Twitch superstar and all that kind of stuff. But now I'm gonna go like completely sideways with it. For those that know me, I a couple years ago found this sport dodgeball. Everybody loves to make the stupid wrench ball, stupid ass joke and whatnot, but like the sport is legit as hell. Like real talk, I've seen some of the greatest athletes in the world play this sport, and the two that I brought on tonight not only kill it, absolutely kill it on the dodgeball court, but they kill it in their fields as an architect, and an educator. I'm really gonna get embarrassed because there's a teacher in the house that I can't say the word architect. It's very pathetic. But either way, the two of them are a lovely young couple. They're raising two young boys, and they're absolutely killing it. I want to introduce y'all to Vince and Lelia Marchbanks. What's good, y'all? Uh-oh. Did y'all not come in? What just happened? There they are. Hey, what's good, y'all? How you doing?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me.
No, of course, absolutely. I mean, like I told y'all before, I just moved into this place, so my internet likes to act like an asshole sometimes. So I do apologize for a little bit of the hang up to this evening. But just real quick, just give them a quick rundown. Obviously, Vince and Leila, how did y'all initially meet?
Take that one?
Uh-huh.
You want to take that?
Yeah, sure. I'll take it. I'm an educator, and Vince was actually teaching PE at the school where I teach. And we actually met in the education field, not like playing dodgeball. Everybody thinks we met playing dodgeball, but he actually introduced me to dodgeball. So one night he told me, he was like, yeah, I just won $25,000 playing dodgeball. And I was like, what? I was like, how do you get this dodgeball thing?
Look, like the funny thing about that is I tell people, I'm like, no, it's legit. Like there are people making like legit money off this and whatnot. Now I know that that's few and far between. We're not at that point yet where you're just like, I can quit everything and go get like a LeBron James salary off of this.
I wish.
But like, I know, right? But at the same time, I have not only like myself made a lot of friendships. I love hearing stories about that, about how a dude was like, hey girl, like you should come check out dodgeball real quick. And then the next thing you know, like a whole loving relationship comes out of it. Like that's the kind of stuff that's crazy. But Vince, you were a teacher too at one point?
Yeah. I went to school at USC for architecture.
Oh, wait, I gotta do it this way.
But when the economy crashed in like 2008, I got laid off. So what I did is a crazy story because it led to me meeting my wife. I took a job as a volunteer volleyball coach for middle school girls, elementary school girls.
Okay.
And it's the same school where she was subbing at. So they brought me on as a sub for PE and then eventually hired me full time. And she was doing the same thing. She was subbing there and then she got hired on full time. And I've seen her around the school. We see each other in crossing in the hallways and whatnot. And I knew there was something special about her. And she swore I never talked to her. She'd be like, "Hi, Coach Marchbanks."
And he would pass me in the hallway, and I would say like, "Hi, Coach Marchbanks," and he would like keep walking.
No,
and I was like,
I would say hi, but she
right.
wouldn't hear me because she's so loud and I'm so quiet. We're like that. We're like the opposites, you know. She's so bubbly.
Yeah.
That's why I need her here in interviews and whatnot, because the camera loves her. She's warm. She's that type of person. I'm quiet. I'm to myself. So she didn't hear me say hello.
Okay.
The millions of times that I said it. But yeah, I met her there, and I actually got fired from that school, supposedly for calling a kid a crybaby. I don't know. There was no report of that happening, but that's what they claimed was the reason why they let me go. So took my marching papers, got my resume cleaned up, and I went door to door to firms. To architecture firm.
Okay.
And I actually found one which was less than a mile away from the school.
Oh, wow.
There not too long after that.
He had a job like 2 weeks later.
He talks about it as if like this is the end of the world and he was down on his luck. He's like, there's no way I'm gonna impress this fine young teacher no more. Like I ain't got no job. Like this is embarrassing. But see, you immediately got, and I see what you did there. You went and got a job a mile away so you could still sneak in the cafeteria and have lunch with her every now and again. I understand that, man. And go get the little square pizzas and whatnot. I get it, bro.
We definitely still got lunch together, so it was a good spot to be. But being a teacher wasn't what I was supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to be at that school. I was only there for a short time so I could meet my wife and start my family. But
hey man.
Go ahead.
I respect it. No. I said I respect it. Like I to that same point, I got into dodgeball initially through Waka, and so I played one season at kickball and just didn't find it interesting at all. But I met the love of my life doing that. You know what I'm saying? So like I totally get how sometimes you walk into a situation, not even for a long time, sometimes just to have a particular event happen and move on. You know what I mean? So that's really amazing how that
everything
worked out,
Everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer of that. I got fired from my first job for a reason, and I took that job with no pay, teaching a sport I had never really played before, and that led to something beautiful. And me getting let go from that place led to me being an architect in downtown. I have a great career at a great firm, Perkins and Will. It's very diverse. We do a lot of hospitals. I'm working in hospitals now, which is
it's vital right now.
Yeah, you see how important that work is. So it's not as glamorous as doing big houses or anything like that, but it's a necessity. And
Leila, Leila, tell me more about what you teach, how you got into education and whatnot, because ironically, like this is actually what the two of y'all are doing, especially with you working on hospitals, Vince. I mean, what the two of y'all are doing, like you said, is very vital right now. Like the future of what's going to happen with our kids, absolutely vital. I mean, you're kind of seeing how Betsy DeVos is just kind of taking apart everything right now. So like strong teachers like you out there, especially teachers of color, like it is insanely important to have those role models there. So how did you get into teaching, and what do you teach? What are you most passionate about?
Well, it was it's kind of crazy. My story is actually similar to Vince's. I went to USC as well, and I got my master's in marketing and communications. And I actually worked in corporate communications for a long time. And when the economy tanked, a girlfriend of mine, I actually did Teach for America in college. And she was like, well, hey, why don't you use your Teach for America degree and start subbing? And so that's what I did. I started subbing, and I started subbing at the school where I work now. And the very next year they hired me on full time. So I work at a private school, an independent private school in Los Angeles. So it's a school where the tuition is $38,000 a year. So,
stimulus check ain't gonna cover that. Stimulus check is not gonna cover that.
That's college tuition right there.
It's more than college tuition. It's more than UCLA, the UCs, all that. But so obviously, like the students that I teach are, their parents are either in the industry or, they're the kids of somebody that someone knows, like that's really famous. I've had a lot of famous kids in my class in the past year. So every year I have to sign a non-disclosure agreement saying I'm not going to talk about the students that are in my class, or I can't post pictures of them on the internet. And so, yeah, that's the situation I'm in. But I teach 5th grade language arts, which I'm extremely passionate about because Vince can tell you I read all the time. And since I do teach at an affluent private school, I want these students to have a window into a world that they know nothing about. So a lot of the books that they read in my class are, about African American culture, about Asian culture, about Latin culture. It's also about, a lot of the stories that they read are about students that, don't have a lot of money, or asylum seekers, or, they're even police brutalities, things that they never, they're not accustomed to, but they're learning about in my class all the time. And the students are blown away. They're like, I had no idea. I hear about it on the news, but it's not my reality. So I didn't know.
Right.
And they love it. And I have them, writing essays about it. So sometimes I get some pushback from parents, but I really, really lucky that my head of school, my boss, completely supports me and backs me up 100%. She's like, if there's, if these parents are giving you pushback, maybe this is not the right school for them. So that makes me feel really good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing because there's two things that come to mind with me. I mean, the first, I remember, so I went to a super well-off private school back in Texas. And so I was like in school with like the Perot kids and like apparently the Luke and Owen Wilson went there when they were in grade school and stuff like that. So there's like a long legacy of super rich ass Texans that went there. And we got in on scholarship and whatnot. But I remember having my 5th grade humanities teacher, Mr. Walker, was like the first Black teacher I ever had, and it was a similar thing where like he decided that instead of them wanting us to just focus on Black history during Black History Month, he took an entire. We were on a trimester system. He took an entire trimester just to focus on Black history, like making us watch Glory and we were reading way earlier than normal, like Raising the Sun and the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, like a lot of stuff to like make a lot of those rich white kids like really think outside the box, honestly. But I just remember how influential he was to me because I feel like that's that right there, that kind of 3rd to 6th grade age is like so important about that, like the developmental nature of kids, you know what I mean? Like to really influence who they're becoming. So, I mean, that's incredible that you do that. And I saw some of the stuff you post from your students about like, Ms. Marchbanks, I would have never known X, Y, Z if it wasn't for you, like, et cetera, et cetera. So I really have to applaud you for that, honestly, because I know that we as a group talk to our kids pretty young about the police and everything like that and the stuff that we go through. But I don't, like you said, that's not something that necessarily a affluent white kid might know about, It's not something that they naturally come into. So I'm curious with the quarantine. I know y'all know we're mandated to put on masks at this point, right?
Right.
One of the things that me and my homeboy Jay have been talking about a lot on our live stream Blurred to the Hood, which if y'all don't already watch Blurred to the Hood, make sure you watch that shit every Tuesday 2 p.m. we be going live. That was for everybody, not just y'all, but that's
the finger felt personal.
Exactly, right. But we were talking about how, as Black people, especially in cities like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, how wearing any sort of mask, you're actually getting a lot of reports of Black people being harassed by clerks, by police officers, more so than normal because they're wearing masks in the stores. I'm just curious if you have experienced anything like that recently, and is there any sort of concern that you have either for yourself or for your family, just kind of being out in this time, like when we have to make grocery store runs or whatnot?
Well, we live in Inglewood, so mostly everybody's down here. But
so you chilling? All right. So you good?
But I've definitely seen stories about, because they tell you a lot of people can't find actual masks, so they're just putting bandanas or something over their face. Right. So they're like, oh, I don't want a Black person in my store wearing a bandana. And I actually I posted a story to someone in Dodgeball had posted something on Facebook, and I told them about a story. This was even before COVID-19 even heard about this. It was probably about 2 years ago. We were in Arizona for a dodgeball tournament, and I had a pink bandana on my head because my jersey was pink, and they told me I had to take my pink bandana off, or I had to leave the store because it was gang attire. And I was like, wow, my pink bandana.
Which gang is that?
Wait, did y'all watch what's it called? A Black Lady sketch show?
Yeah.
When they had the pink gangsters like, yo, blinkety, like you're out here kicking it with Issa and that's what's going on.
We actually live 2 streets over from where the dunes are. So like we see people coming all the time to take pictures in front of the dunes. I've had a couple friends like even come over like, let's go take pictures in front of the dunes. I'm like, oh my God.
I met her not too long ago because we're doing one of our projects is we're revitalizing Crenshaw Boulevard.
Okay.
So, Destination Crenshaw. It's a really cool project because they're putting the metro stops all around Crenshaw Boulevard. So what they want to do is there's 2 things. They want to bring people to those stops to get out and experience Crenshaw and, you know, the heritage and the culture that's going on there, because it's very rich. And they also want to make like a museum of the history of Crenshaw, since there's so much, you know, gentrification going on.
Right.
There probably won't be even close to what it was in the future, like 50 years from now. You know, as the metro brings in new people, that makes the property value go up, and it kicks out the Black and brown people. So Destination Crenshaw it's a great project. I'm glad to be a part of a firm that's at the forefront of that. And Nipsey Hussle was actually the face of it until he was murdered. And Nipsey Hussle and Issa were pretty close. So she agreed to step in when he was taken out. So I got to go to her office and meet her and watch some of the women at my firm give her the breakdown of what it was, and she was all in. We got to show her the VR model of the project. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
man, dude. I've been fortunate. My baby sister is really good friends with one of the EPs on the show, so I've gotten to meet her a couple times too. And I know what you're talking about. She's one of the most genuine, like, nice people I think I've ever met in my life, and she really, you know, as much as we're talking, she cares about, like, the fact that she'll say stuff like that at the Emmys, like, I'm rooting for everybody Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just who she is. I respect that. Yeah. And I appreciate knowing that, because I knew how much Nipsey was repping for a city and doing everything he can to really bring the community up, which is what makes his deaths that much more tragic. And, you know, it's been intense that we lost two of the icons of the city in Nipsey and Kobe, like, 1 year after another, you know, because the same thing, Kobe was doing so much for not only the community, but for female athletes, for everything in general. Like, it's kind of crazy to think. Do you guys find that, you know, playing dodgeball? I know we're not fully there yet, but I know that the sport is continuing to grow, and the dream is to at one point make it get to a mainstream point where it really is kind of touching stuff. Do you think that? Do you think it'll be sooner than later? And if so, like, do you think that the two of y'all will be able to kind of help shape where it goes going forward? Because, you know, Father Time gets everybody, you know what I'm saying? So, like, do you think by the time we get there that you'll still be helping shape the sport?
I feel like just because of the quarantine and COVID-19 right now, it's killing some of the momentum, because just this year, I mean, we had the new Premier League with USA Dodgeball, and everyone was really excited about that. And then WDBF with the different formats, and there's going to be like different balls, and everybody was really looking forward to that. And I just kind of feel like, when I come out of this, am I even going to be good anymore? Am I going to throw a ball? So, I mean, I was a little disappointed, you know, with the momentum, I feel like was, you know, stalled a little bit. But I really appreciate everything that, like, Jake is doing and everyone else behind the scenes that are really helping the sport of dodgeball. Like, I have no idea how many phone calls, you know, Jake is making behind the scenes and trying to, you know, get our sport out there. And especially Vince is always posting things on social media, and a lot of his videos are getting picked up and going viral. So that helps a lot as well. There are a lot of videos from the no, not Sin City, the World Dodgeball Championships that were picked up by you know, Sports Center. Yeah, Sports Center. Yeah, they were going viral. So that helps a lot. It's always crazy to see people like comment underneath and they're like, "Oh my God, I can do that."
Okay, that's the funniest. Like, I'm sure y'all get it way more than I ever have. Oh, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Like, anybody that's never actually played dodgeball since grade school, that's the first shit they say, and they're like, "Ah, it's so funny."
Yeah.
But I think what's so cool is, like you said, Leila, like Vince, I mean, you've had a number of clips. You know, I was talking how I'm having some tech issues, but like you did Kevin Hart's What the Fit and played with Anna Kendrick, and you lit him up. That's one of my favorite videos of dodgeball. So like, God damn, that was like a heat-seeking whistle. Like,
that was funny because when we started, like, don't hit the talent. Like, just whatever you guys do, just don't have the talent. And I'm like, I look at my boys and I'm like, we're the talent. We're playing dodgeball. What the fuck are they talking about? So I had to hit him one time. I had to hit the guy. It wasn't too long after that that whole hitting the kid over the head with the dollhouse thing. So
yeah. no, I agree with you. You gotta light him up, bro. And you know what's funny is that's the one thing about you, because you always say so much, I'm shy, I'm quiet, and you're right until you start actually talking about ball. Then you're like, I'm LeBron James of this shit, motherfucker. What you know, like. But you had that, and then you know, a lot of people may or may not recognize you from the ridiculousness clip when Kobe was on the show, and like you vaulted over a ball and then did a fake and turn around and hit someone from behind the back, which is wild. I don't know if you know how many times the first season of dodgeball I played, I tried that shit and I just fell over the line. So like
imitated.
People that always attempted to be imitated, could never be done though, bro. Could never be done. But I find it like really cool, because I realize that even with your TikToks at this point, because I see you're out here TikTok, and most of it is just like you putting dope ass music to like highlights. But I have to say my favorite highlight of y'all is one where I want to say that there were two, and someone put them back to back. And one was where Vince was about to get tagged by somebody because he's on the ground, and Leila came out of nowhere and lit somebody up. And then I think the caption was just like, "That's a team right there. That's husband and wife right there. You can't mess with that." And then there was another one that Vince caught on the ground, and Leila came up and just started like, "I want to right now." So like, I love joking all the time with y'all that you guys remind me of like the Barack and Michelle of like dodgeball, that like you're this young black love that like y'all are just out here just being such an inspiration to people, man. You know what I mean? Like, black love is a beautiful thing to see, that, you know, we sometimes get to see it, but I don't know if y'all fully watch Insecure. It's not really happening over there. Lauren's a fuckboy. Molly can't get her shit together. Like, do you ever kind of hear that from people at all? Is that something that you find is a little rare nowadays, or you know, like, what's kind of your feeling on that?
On Black Love?
On Black Love, yeah.
I think it's a touchy subject. Like, you don't want to put out information that might be taken the wrong way. You know, you don't want to be received in the wrong light. So it's something that I don't often talk about that much, but like, something that people need to see is that Black love is beautiful. Black is beautiful, period. And you don't see it. You never see it in the movies. You don't see it on TV. It's very rare. So any opportunity that I have to show my beautiful wife and I interacting, my sons and I interacting, I'm gonna do it. There's a lot of stigma, negative stigma that goes along with Black men and their families not being there, not having fathers being a part of the family, and I'm proof that that's bullshit.
Yeah,
there are Black dads that are there. I'll leave it at that. But like, you know, it's important that people see couples like us, families like us, to do away with that stigma.
No, I completely agree.
My thing is like, I want, you know, anybody can love whoever they want, different races, different cultures. I always tell Vince all the time, I hate it when Black men call out Black women. Like, I'll never date a Black woman because they're too loud, or, you know, they're ignorant, or I don't want my kids to look a certain way. I've actually been told that in the past. Like, I don't want my kids to have nappy hair. Or I don't want my kids to be too dark.
Seriously?
Yeah. So
from Black men specifically.
Those things are all beautiful.
So
seriously, man.
I hate it when I hear like professional athletes say that, like, you know, I would never date a Black woman because of, you know, terrible reasons. But as you know, as long as, you know, you love whoever you love, that's fine. Just don't put a Black woman down in your process. That's all.
I 1,000% agree with that. So, you know, my girlfriend, she is white, but that's one of the big things that I don't ever do, is I would never in a million years put down anybody for it, whoever they did whatsoever. I would never put down a Black woman like that, none of that stuff, because one, all that's doing is making a situation that's already, like you said, is very touchy. It makes it infinitely worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's understandable why you hear a lot of Black women that that are like, yo, like Black men are just abandoning and things like that, because you're seeing, like you said, these bad examples of these men saying, I don't want a loud whatever, I don't want a nappy, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's further building negative stereotypes and whatnot. Which is, again, like I said, why I love seeing the two of you together, because you are so loving to each other. You are so caring to each other. I love the fact that, like, y'all take turns on Monday. When I play against y'all on Mondays, like, 1 week Leila shows up, 1 week Vince shows up. If you got a babysitter, y'all both show up. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that y'all have that rotation going and that you have each other's backs like that is what's so amazing. You know what I mean?
Somebody needs to watch the kids, so one person stays home.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like, all right, I got Monday night, you got Tuesday night. All right, cool. That is what's so amazing to me, is to see that. And like I said, it's important as Black women, but it's a good example of just love in general. I think that's one of the things that is getting really conflated in this, like, kind of Tinder age, is like people are just like on the next, or, you know, marriages aren't lasting, stuff like that. But you guys have such a solid base that you are unabashedly in love with each other, which is incredible. Absolutely incredible. You see, and that was the moment where you got to see who likes the camera and who don't. Like, oh, baby. And he was like, oh, no.
We're like the kiss cam at like a basketball game. Like, it'll come over and I'm like, yay, let's kiss. And he's like,
oh, man. All right, well, let's actually get into the sport of dodgeball. So, Vince, how long have you been playing the sport at this point?
Like 12, 13 years.
Wow.
Okay. So that actually makes a lot more sense now. I thought you've been doing this for like 3 or 4. And you're just a freak of nature. You just been playing forever. That's what that is. Okay. Yeah. What about you, Leila? How long have you been playing?
About 4 years. 4 years, 5 years, I think. Yeah. Okay.
Word. Well, so then you are a freak of nature, because you're doing ridiculous stuff right now, and you've only been playing like 4 years.
She played collegiate soccer, so she's an athlete.
Oh, you did? Wow.
She was the first Black soccer player at USC.
But the program was only there for 2 years before I got there, so it's not like it was like this long.
Facts are facts.
Hey, he's right. Take the record, girl. You're Jackie Robinson of ladies soccer at USC. You take that trophy, you run with it.
And it's funny because people always ask me, they're like, "Oh, did you play with Brittany Masserow and Kate Gong?" And I was like, "I'm like almost 10 years older than them."
She doesn't look it though. She's like 20.
Not at all. You see, black don't crack. I would have just assumed that y'all are like 27, 25, just out here rolling in these streets.
I'm 27 for like the 7th time over.
Okay, so how did you Leila, obviously Vince introduced you to it. Vince, how did you even find the sport in the first place? Like, did you play an adjacent type sport to it? Like, did you play baseball or football or anything like that? Or how did this come about?
I played football, basketball, track. I did capoeira when I was younger. It was the Brazilian martial art where breakdancing came from. So a lot of the movements that I do, the fluidity comes from doing capoeira for over 10 years. But I got into dodgeball from a friend of mine who I grew up with. He came out here to LA to go to Pepperdine and then moved downtown. And he was playing on a Ghostbusters team in Melrose A. He asked me to come sub. I went there. It was crazy. It was energy I never felt before around a sport. So I was hooked the second that I walked in. And 12 years ago, I've been playing every week since then.
Wow, man. Which to this point, like I noticed you still got the itch, because like some of the videos you post with you and your son playing virtual dodgeball on the Wii and whatnot.
Quarantine dodgeball, man.
That's fun. First of all, what game is that? Because I have a Switch, so if it exists on there, I need to practice something, man. This is getting kind of ridiculous.
It's for Wii. It's called Wii Playground, and within that game, they have dodgeball, and it's legit the best dodgeball game ever created. You can play 2-on-2. You can play together. You can throw together. You can pump fake. You can block with the ball. So there's actual strategy going in, and it's beautiful. My son and I, we play on his lunch breaks, and it's
oh, because he's still in school.
Yeah,
I completely forgot. The parents know, and the teacher obviously knows that. I completely forget that the kids are like homeschooling right now, like across the country or around the world right now. So, wow.
Well, Jackson goes to the school where I teach, so he's doing online learning, like with my coworkers, and then I'm teaching in another room, and then the little one, he's on ABC Mouse because he doesn't have like a real structured like preschool program, but he's still like I make him do academics every single day. So yeah, it's really rough to wrangle all the kids and then teach it. Like I'm teaching 3-4 live classes a day. Jackson's taking 3-4 live classes a day. So it's a lot.
Man, this is I think we're like 2 seconds away from like Ready Player One, way things are going at this point, man. Like just everybody up in their houses in virtual reality. Just like that's kind of how it is at this point.
Yeah, I was actually thinking,
man,
the way that it's going, if we're gonna get sports back, I don't see the crowds going back for a while. So we might be watching VR.
That would be kind of dope, but you know that they are fighting against that hard, because like think about how I don't are y'all from LA originally?
She is. I'm from the Bay, up north.
Okay.
Okay,
all right. Okay, so this is definitely some California love, like Snoop stuff going on. Okay, but I I'm from Dallas, so like I'm a huge Cowboys fan, and Lord knows Jerry Jones will do anything to try and get people back in that stadium as soon as possible. You know, he's not like, obviously there's no football going on right now, but the minute it's time, he's gonna want him back in. But that's a good point, man. Like someone was talking to me about that, where if people enjoy just watching on their 4K TVs at home, like why would you spend like $200-300 per person just to go watch a game in person that you can't really see as well, and there's crowds and there's parking and all that kind of stuff, especially if we're going to be like this for a while. You know what I mean? But I genuinely hope that that's not what ends up happening, especially like we were talking about with dodgeball growing, because that is part of what makes it so fun, is the energy in the room. Like the practices are fun, but it's when you have a large group of people and you do something crazy, like a ridiculous catch, and everybody's like, "Oh, grips! Oh!" that's the stuff that like you kind of live for. But what would you say if somebody was interested in like trying it out? What's like probably the main thing they want to go into dodgeball looking out for? Like what would be the one thing you would say they work on?
If you're new,
don't do what?
My very first league I played in, Vince asked me, like I had never played before, and he was like, "Hey, I have this team. It's all girls, and then it's just like 3 guys, and it was him, Ish Blanco, Eric Radke, and who the other, like 3 guys. But then the girls were like Brittany, Azalea, Erica, Sarah,
oh wow,
like whole all-star team, right? And I didn't know who any of these people were. And it was a league called Hardcore. They don't have it anymore, but it was in WPS. So I had no idea what hardcore meant. Very first night I go and I get a black eye. First night I played. So
your christening.
Yo.
Yeah, and we played. We played a team, and it was beast mode, and it was Nate, and who else was on that team? Well, Nate Kreider was on the team. Okay, so I didn't know who like a lot of these people were, and yeah, that was my first experience playing dodgeball.
I actually remember the first time that I played both of you and Andrew Ketchum. So I remember it very specifically for a number of reasons. The first was there really aren't a lot of like black people. I mean, there are. You're seeing a growth, but like black people that like are like hitting like a crazy kind of caliber. I mean, I guess you either see like every black person that plays is just like a superstar, or they're just like, I'm the most awkward black person ever in the entire world. I don't really know what I'm doing, right? So I remember like seeing Vince like beforehand, just kind of warming up, and I was like, oh, that guy seems like he's pretty good, whatever. And the very first thing, like I have a tendency that since I'm not maybe as athletically gifted, I go more from like a strategy standpoint. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna let him throw at me. I'm gonna see how I'm gonna deal with this. And the very first ball that he throws, like I'm just like very loosely holding a ball to block. He not only disarms me, it bounces off and hits me in the face. And I was like, oh, so I'm just gonna get the fuck out of the way if he's throwing. I remember with Ketchum, at that point, it was like my second tournament. I had never seen him before, and he threw a ball, and I'm like, this dude, like he thinks he's like big shot because he's tall or whatever. And obviously, he throws that heat, and he actually broke my finger. So I learned my lesson very quickly to stop underestimating people, and it really got cemented home the first time I played you, Leila, because same thing. I'm thinking to myself, okay. At this point, I hadn't been to any tournaments. I just went to go sub Monday WDS or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so in my brain, I was like, oh, with girls, it's very hit or miss. Like, you know, you never know what's going to happen or whatnot. And I remember throwing at you, and without any pause, you just went, oh, caught it, and then tossed it. So I feel like the two of y'all in particular, like, really helped cement to me not to, like, take anybody lightly for any reason whatsoever. But like, what would you say is the easiest skill to try and pick up going into it? Because obviously, when people are first trying out, some people want to be superheroes and do stupid shit, but that's not always gonna work. So, what would be the easiest thing y'all would say to like kind of ease your way into it?
I would say it's teamwork. There's very few sports where you have 6 balls, multiple people on the court communicating and throwing together. So the first thing that you should do if you're trying to dodge for the first time is to talk to somebody and throw with them. And what I did when I first started, I found who I felt was the best player in the gym, and I emulated what they did. So if they went up there and pump faked or they threw to the right side when someone wasn't looking, I would take those moves and make them mine. But what you shouldn't do is just go out there and think you're a superhero. Oh, I played baseball, so I'm gonna whip people's asses, because you're gonna get humbled like really quick. Because, like you said, people don't look like they're like athletic or like they can beat you, but they've been playing the game for 10 years. They know the ins and outs, and they will embarrass you over and over and over and over again.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you gotta be humble.
Probably my favorite example of that is Ryan Haley, just because like he's a little bit of a bigger boy, but he is one of the most nimble, both in his actual body movements, but with his hands, obviously he catches everything. So like seeing how quick he can just be like, oh, thank you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny to watch people try and like come for people that they think they are weak, and then like you said, they get humbled really fast.
Real quick. I remember one of the people that humbled me, who I didn't see it coming, was David Tate. Like he was in there, he was like, "Yo, like, come hit me," and I let one go. Like you could see the fire coming off of that. He just gobbled it up and then kept moving. I was like, okay, everybody gets one catch, and then like you learn from there. You don't do it ever again. So, and then you have like people like Payan. Payan doesn't look athletic, but he'll light your ass up. Like his throw makes sense. So.
Between, I mean, Payan and Eric, like that tag team is what ended up, because that's the one thing that I don't want to scare people, because we're talking about black eyes and
like broken hands.
It's so much fun.
Oh my god, it's so much fun. But it's because God, playing Payan and Eric, I was in the middle of throwing at Payan, and Eric tried to counter me, and I saw it at the last second, so I got out of the way, but I landed awkward, and I ended up spraying my MCL and tearing my meniscus, just because like you're not paying as much attention as you should sometimes, and then that's what ends up happening. So I 1,000% agree with you on that one, man. Well, there was a question on the tip of my tongue. It's going to take me a second to get back to it. Because I guess one of the things that I appreciate, I know that with Waka, which tends to be more of like a recreational, like obviously the WDSs and the WeHos tend to be a little more, competitive. Obviously, elite, super competitive, world, super competitive. One of the things I appreciated is you came to Waka League last season, and it was you and a team full of newbies. And I think one of the funniest things that would happen is like they actually did get a lot better over the season, but it would essentially be like you were spending more time teaching, and I guess that's where that PE coach side is coming out. you spent more time teaching, and then when you're like, all right, it's me on 8, I'm going to use this as practice now. But then all of a sudden, it's like, can I take out all 8 of these people at once? Which you did a number of times, actually. I'm curious, is that something that you prefer to do? Do you prefer to play in a situation where it's like you against the world type, like Kill Bill style? Or do you like playing on like the world championship team? Stuff like that. What is more thrilling for you? I'm curious.
Thrilling is definitely being on the biggest stage, playing against the best players, because that victory is something that you have to fight for, and it's just so much more exciting. But
yeah, because he placed it on our wall and won't let us forget about it.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me get close a second. Oh snap! Okay, there it is. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Look, hold on. I don't have it up yet. I have a photo of me on the set of Sydney to the Max, and I was directed by Topanga. I have that on my wall, so I don't want to get it, bro. Like, right? You put those moments up, right?
Happy times right there. You just won $20,000.
Exactly.
I was on ESPN the whole time. But to get back to your question, like I've played on Worlds. I've won a gold medal. I've played on UDC. We won over $100,000 within the span of 5 years. So for me, to give back and to coach and to help people get better is something that I seek more often than not. It's and like watching my boys play. Like Jackson, he has an arm, and I feel like that would be
already. Oh God!
Yeah, my next goal is to start a league where he can play. I want to see Jackson, succeed like I succeeded in the sport. I know he can, but he doesn't have the opportunity. And for the sport to continue to grow, we need Little League for dodgeball.
No, I completely agree, because I think that's one of the things that, people talk about all the time is like Xander, for example, who is also so young, and like Ashley Cook, who's young, and like they're coming up and just annihilating people. So if your son already has an arm, which Leila, I actually remember before one of the games on a Monday night, you were like, yeah, he don't care. He'll throw full speed and be like, what's up, Mom? Like, what you doing? Like,
all headshots.
He'll throw at your face. Everything he has.
All headshots.
I mean, he knows it's legal for foam, so he's just getting his practice in. That's all.
Yeah. And what's funny is We Hold Dodgeball used to have a kids league. It was like a summer way back in the day, and I was coaching this team, and we were playing against Xander. I didn't know, because he's a little kid, and he kept pinching.
Yeah.
Little Jew pro, and he kept pinching. Behold, he's like he's been playing since he was very little, and he's a beast now. And I saw him when he was a little kid with the little curly Jew afro, and now he's up there winning national championships. So it's crazy, and I want to see that in my kids.
Is it a Jew afro? No. Like a Greek afro?
He's not Jewish.
Then I believe he's what's a black Greek? Is that a bleak?
Bleak?
Bleak? He dips like he like has like fried chicken and hummus, and like he hitting some wine and some Hennessy, yeah. But yeah, no, I think that I'd probably agree with you. I think that that's the fastest way that the sport can grow is to try it. Because I feel like we play it from like 3rd to 5th grade as like a PE sport, and then you never hear about it again. It's getting to the point where instead of it being that disorganized chaos that you just remember from recess, that like people see it for that sport at a young age and like get good at it. Which sport do you think translates best to dodgeball?
I don't think it's one sport, honestly.
Okay.
It's different parts of each sport. Like the throwing from football helps. The side to side from tennis helps.
But it's like that whole Thieves team they're all old baseball players, and they had all these
right.
Well, not old. I mean, like they started like Xander. He started in baseball, and
then you have Ish, who plays tennis pretty like professionally, and his throw it looks like a serve. and he moves side to side well, like you do in tennis. There's people who were quarterbacks in football, and their throw translates very well in the dodgeball. Like I know the NFL had their little dodgeball thing, and they're throwing heat, and they can catch very well too.
I was going to ask you, what do you think about it? Because it's hard to sometimes to tell on camera just because it seems to go a lot slower since you're pulled out. Mm-hmm. Do you, from y'all's expert opinion, do you think that they're actually playing well, or do you think that it's kind of like Wild West out there? And it's kind of
it's not good dodgeball. It's not. There's no strategy.
Awkward.
There's no strategy. It's just not good dodgeball. But it's out there. They're playing the sport that we love. So everybody's seeing it, but it's just not good dodgeball.
That's true. I'm not gonna lie. There's been definitely moments when I've been watching, like, man, I can fuck all of them up. Like, I'm not even good, and I can handle them, yo.
Absolutely. give me like people. I'll beat them. I guarantee it.
Oh no, for sure. And that to me is the other thing that I do find funny. I do think for sure, like you said, athleticism from other sports does play just like anything else. I mean, you see linemen that go take ballet because it helps them with their footwork and their flexibility. Like you see like wide receivers and tight ends that used to play basketball because they were big and they knew how to get bored. You know what I'm saying? So like it does kind of like it can translate across. But I think the thing that I find the most interesting is people that are like, dodgeball, that ain't no thing, whatever. I play what I'll come in there and I'll wreck people. And like you said, they get humbled really fast because they're just like, yeah. What is probably for both of y'all, what is probably your favorite or funniest story where you just annihilated somebody? Like embarrassed somebody, annihilated somebody, anything like that?
We just saw the clip that came up again when we were filming the Shahs of Sunset, and I hit Dylan in the face, and it was like Dylan and I were just like developing our friendship, and I was like, I love this guy, he's so amazing, and I smashed Dylan in the face. And they didn't show it on the show, but like I stopped and ran all the way across the court to like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Dylan.
Because he had thrown at somebody, and Leila just came from the corner and took his ass out in his hair. His platinum hair. So, and he's on the ground. It was a whole thing.
I felt so awful because I love him so much. I hate every time that video comes up on Facebook every year, and I'm like, oh my God, my Dylan.
You got a director's cut or somewhere that we can see this.
Man.
What about you, Vince?
Well, there's two. Kevin Hart, first off, because I mean, probably the biggest person I ever got to play with, and getting to hit him was fun. And I also played against the Utah Jazz way back in the day. I forget, it was like 2010.
Really?
Yeah, it was Darren Williams. He had a charity dodgeball tournament in Utah, a Dodge Barrage, and we got to play against their team in the championship. So they had organized it so they'd always end up in the championship since it's their tournament, and they put it together. But we brought a team of really good players. So they heard about us. They came when they watched us play and go through the tournament and make our way to the championship. So they were intimidated. But since they're athletes, they figured the game out. They could throw, they can catch. So it wasn't an easy win by any means. But I smoked Kyle Korver in the neck, boy. I hit him so hard. I hit him right here, and it was all red. And he points to the ref and goes, "That was a headshot." I'm like, oh, okay. Kyle Korver teaching dodgeball.
We have to give a special shout out to Kale though for knocking out Chanel West Coast's teeth.
That's why she laughs like that now.
What?
Yeah, that was that wasn't ridiculous. That was
with the
Fantasy Factory,
the big guy. Yeah, they were playing dodgeball and Kale hit Chanel West Coast in the face and knocked her teeth out.
Cause she showed up, she was scared. So she showed up with a softball helmet.
Yeah.
And the softball helmet is designed to get hit in the ear. because you're
right.
hitting like that. So if you get hit in the head,
sideways, right? Yeah.
but not in the face. So he hit her in the face.
Geez.
Metal guard came down right on her tooth and chipped the frontals. Which fucked her whole shit up. It was a mess.
Oh my God, that's hilarious then, because Kale from that point forward, I mean, I'm sure Chanel West Coast got it fixed at this point, but just however long it's going to be like that was me. I did that.
Kale was Chanel killer.
Oh.
And that's crazy because she was on Ridiculousness with Kobe when they showed my clip.
Yeah.
And so was
Stilo
Brim,
the
guy who
the DJ controls the video.
He was playing that same day too.
That's wild. That is absolutely wild.
Dodging Devil Donkeys, I think was the episode name.
Dodging what? Dodging what donkeys?
Devil Donkeys.
That's ridiculous.
They showed up with the donkey that day.
Wow. Hey man, look. I don't blame. Like, I mean, getting hit. If you get hit by the wrong ball, and again, not to scare people away, it can feel like you're getting kicked by a mule in the face. Honestly, like we've all probably taken some pretty gnarly headshots before.
Absolutely.
Like, I've seen both of y'all take some. I remember I took one at the Sin City tournament, not this year, but the year before, where I had like a double catch, though they didn't count one of the catches because it came off my face just enough that they were like, "Oh," and I was like, "Just give it to me." I got my shit out.
I would walk out.
Fucking caught it.
If you caught me like that, I would walk out. I give it to you.
I had a terrible concussion 2 years ago. I had to go to the hospital. I had a really bad concussion.
Dodgeball is great. All these bad
hey,
always happen.
Look, that double catch too knocked both my contacts out. So I got hit so hard, my eye popped out my head. I was like,
my hand doesn't get straight anymore. I'm good.
Yo, my fingers, like, you see how this one looked normal, but this one got a bulge on it and whatnot for no reason. Like, wow, Jesus. All right. So before we get out of here, we got a little bit of time. What I like to do at the end of these is I do something called top five. So I'm going to essentially ask y'all both about your top five for particular categories. So to start off, since y'all were both educators, what would you say are your top five? You can do it together or separate, up to you. Your top five favorite like teachers or educators ever.
Top five teachers.
Mine was my mom. She was a teacher as well.
Okay. So I see.
I mean, I got you. She taught me everything I know. She made me the man who I am today. So I have to. Okay. Sorry. And number two is her.
Okay. Janice DeGrew. She actually wrote a book called The Post-Slave Movement. I teach from it in my class. I'd also say Langston Hughes. I teach a lot about it in my class. Oh my goodness, how am I drawing a blank and I'm an educator? There's so many.
That's probably why I gave you a very broad
actually Audre Lorde too. It's funny because in fifth grade, it's a California it's not a California standard that fifth graders study poetry, and I love poetry, so I'm always trying to put even some of my books that I have in class are written in verse. So yeah, I introduced them to like Langston Hughes, Audre Lorde, Kwame Alexander. Jason Reynolds. I've been trying to get Jason Reynolds into my class for the longest time. He's actually a fairly newer writer, but he writes middle grade books for kids, and it's definitely like he wrote a book, Ghost, Look Both Ways. What's the other? Patina, Lou, and the kids absolutely love the books, and I love because kids at that age, they're just like, I don't want to read anymore. But when they're running to the library or crying if a book is checked out, and they're like, I've been waiting all week to check this out. That makes me feel really good that I introduced them to like these amazing authors. So yeah.
And what she did, which made her so great, was she revamped the curriculum at her school. You know, they're learning about Christopher Columbus And
I don't teach Christopher Columbus
stuff that is
I don't. We don't. Yeah, we don't need colonizers in here. No, come on. No,
exactly.
fuck no. We ain't need no damn colonizers.
She took all that and she threw it out the window, and she introduced these educators and authors and whatnot, and she's teaching her kids the real, what's really out there. And like, since these kids are so affluent, they don't get that perspective. They don't learn these things. They don't even know who Martin Luther King is. So she's opening their eyes. She's changing their perspective on the world. She's changing their life.
How is that like a thing that there are genuinely some kids that don't know who Martin Luther King is at this point, or they love to? I think the thing that trips me out is when people love to talk shit about Black people or civil rights all the time, but the minute Martin Luther King Day comes around, and he is such an inspiration, and that's not what Brother Martin would have said, and shut your ass up.
Exactly. And Kaepernick was the same way. But like, it's not until he gets a street then you realize.
No, I agree with you. All right, so we got the 5 educators. All right, I'm gonna go with, because we were talking about Black love earlier. What are your top 5 favorite Black sitcom or movie couples?
Oh, couples. Martin and Gina.
Okay, that's a good one. I like that.
Whitley and Jane.
That I feel like that one suits us pretty well. Because Whitley, she's bubbly, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Dwayne's very chill with the glasses. That's me.
Yeah. Who else? Florida Evans and
Flo.
Yes.
I'm gonna say real quick, just in case some of the white people or some Black people that, you know, for whatever reason don't know their history, that name what these couples are from, just so.
From Good Times. From
Right.
A Different World, and then from Martin.
Right.
Philip Banks and Vivian Banks, Black Vivian Banks.
Dark skin.
Yo, dark skin and Viv. There you go.
Dark skin Vivian Banks. And who else?
Man.
You know who I really want to say? From Living Single. Oh my God!
Having a couple.
Yes, they did, because it was funny because they hated each other.
No, that's so toxic. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
So bad.
Okay. Overton and
Khadijah? Nope.
No, not Khadijah. Oh my God, why am I forgetting her name? What was Overton's wife's name? Kim. Well, her real name's Kim, but what's her name on the show? I totally forgot. You're about to Google it.
That doesn't count. You gotta replace that one. Definitely cannot say the Huxtables, because that's just bad.
Well, I mean, you can say them as a TV show.
No, you can't.
Oh,
you can't separate them.
Yeah. That's the hard part. That's the hard part, because I've been having this debate with people too, both about the Huxtables, about Kanye at this point, like about R. Kelly and I Believe I Can Fly. That's saying at every Black graduation that has ever happened, and we can't ever listen to it ever again at this point.
You can't say that.
Shit's canceled. And what's crazy about the Huxtables is my mom's best friend used to live next door to him when she was little, and he molested her. So I knew about this since I was very young. So I was never allowed to watch Huxtables growing up.
Wow. Yo, real talk though, I don't know what it was for me. Maybe it was because I've always had this thing where I don't like, if someone feels very condescending or arrogant, it's a huge turnoff to me. It's just them as a person. And there was something about, like, I remember being young, I didn't know him as much from the Cosby Show, even though I knew the show existed, as much as the Jell-O commercials. And then him telling, like, all these Black kids, like, y'all just hippity hop, you ignorant, you blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, why are you talking down to everybody? Like, chill the fuck out. Yeah. So maybe there's something there. But okay, one more couple then. If you could think of one. If not, we can go to the last one.
Jamie and Fancy. I like Jamie.
Okay, that's a good one. I like Jamie and Fancy. Okay, that was a good
one. They had like a long road to get to where they were.
Jamie was a dog.
No, he wasn't. He loved Fancy and me.
Okay. Man, no love for the modern stuff. No, Rainbow and Gray from Blackish.
Yeah, I like them.
I didn't watch Blackish.
Oh yeah, he doesn't watch Blackish. I watch Blackish and Grown.
Sorry.
I love. It's all right, man. It happens. I understand. All right, and the last one. Let's see. I'm just trying to think of all stuff we talked about. Will be a good. I mean, screw it. Let's just go with for both of y'all. And if you want to include yourselves in it, you totally can. Let's say your top 5 favorite dodgeballers of all time. This doesn't even necessarily have to be that they're the best or anything, but just like people that you either enjoy playing or you like watching, or you learned a lot from, whatever. Your top 5 favorite dodgeballers of all time.
Well, obviously Vince is one of mine because he coached me a lot. A couple of years ago, I got to play with Team Awesome in the East Coast. So the Giovinco brothers were like amazing teammates. Like I've never been on a team where it was my very first time playing with them. And, they're this, high caliber team. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm horrible. But they were so like always telling me, oh my God, Leila, you're doing so great. And they were just like the best teammates ever. And Tasha is it Maven or Maven? Sorry, Tasha, I'm messing up your last name. Playing with Tasha was like absolutely amazing. I love playing with Karina. She is definitely one of the best teammates ever because she keeps me laughing all the time. And we're always twerking together and she's yelling out crazy across the court to me. Who for you?
My first favorite player was David Benedetto, the Animal, Crazy Dave.
Super Dave, man, wow.
Super Dave. He goes by many names, many aliases, and he's crazy, but he's a genuine person. He's not fake.
That's true.
So, and when I came in, he was the top player at the time. So he was who I emulated and who I wanted to be and who I wanted to beat. And he's a father, so a lot of things I got from Dave. So Super Dave is one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't forget Marco. I think every championship. That I've ever won in dodgeball, Marco was on the team with me. So I gotta give a shout out to Marco. Definitely love playing with Marco.
Marco is always hard to read. I've only played with him like once or twice, typically in open gyms, but like whenever we end up playing against y'all's team in whatever form or fashion, we always end up lining up because I like to play right corner. So it's always kind of fun having to learn how to deal with him, because right when I figured out, oh, that's how I beat Marco, the next time I play him, he's doing something completely different. I'm like, bro, like, really? Can you just let me have this, please? Like, I'm not gonna get nothing else. Shit.
The game is always evolving. He's always getting better.
Oh yeah. Well, but I want to say thank. Yeah, you got another one.
Give a shout out to Doom. I've been playing with them forever. It's the team that I've been playing with for my first really great team. I was at the point with them playing with them that I knew what they were going to do before they would do it. We were all just like one hive mind. It was we accomplished so much on Doom. National champion.
That was yeah. I've watched a lot of tape on y'all. Like you said, to get better, you got to study the greats and how they do it, man. And like it is kind of terrifying how it is good strategy for people to talk and all that kind of stuff and to like work out what you're gonna do. Y'all very rarely had to do that because, like you said, you were so in sync. It was like kind of terrifying, actually. Like genuinely, it was kind of scary watching y'all, which is hence the name Doom actually worked out perfectly, to be honest with you. Yeah. And the only thing I'm upset about, and maybe you did this already, that y'all didn't come out to MF Doom songs whenever you play, like Rap Snitch Conditions or something like that when you come out. Like that would have been fire.
Whenever I would do like Doom videos, I would always throw in like a Doom instrumental if I could, if YouTube wouldn't flag it. But
they wore Doom pins, MF Doom pins at our wedding, the Doomsmen.
Yeah, my Doom. I have 3 Doomsmen.
That's so dope.
Cole, Nate, and Ish were all my Doomsmen, and I had a gold pin, and they had little silver pins on their tuxedos. Those are my brothers.
That's fire.
When I played with Team Awesome, we beat Doom.
They did. They did.
Vince, you were.
I'm done.
So did y'all have a one-on?
Huh?
You retired after that.
I'm done.
I was just like, I was gonna say, was there a one-on-one? Did y'all ever get down to just the two of y'all playing each other when y'all played?
He threw up my hand.
Austin versus Deer.
His very first play against her, he threw at my head.
Yeah, I didn't plan to. It kind of just went that way. And then she was like, oh. Like, fine, you're going from now on. I'm done.
Look, man, I'll tell you right now, I've like the same thing with my girlfriend where like I've learned my lesson. If it ever comes down to that, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna do everything in my power that this is gonna look like it's hell, but I'm gonna find a way to throw this shit out, but it's gonna look like she hit me. If I am not throwing like and accidentally hit her in the head and then I'm sleeping on the couch for the rest of my life. Like I'm just like, nope, I'm just gonna walk across the line.
I wouldn't be able to sleep.
You wouldn't sleep. No.
She would stab me the second I fell asleep.
Oh my God.
Like
never thrown an 8.5 ball in her life, and all of a sudden in the middle, like right as I doze off, just boom, just that was the other. So oh man. Well, I just want to give a huge thank you to both of you for taking the time out of your day to do this. I know how insanely busy you are, raising a family, working super hard, all that kind of stuff. I mean, Leila, you told me you're running like 5 classrooms, including your kids' classrooms at the same time. So I know y'all are busy, man. So before we get out of here, tell them how people can look up, see your highlights, check you out, follow you on the social medias, all that kind of stuff.
I am public on Instagram, V Marchbanks. You can Google Doom Dodgeball on YouTube, Heat Dodgeball, Team USA Dodgeball. You can find me on YouTube. I have a lot of videos with my son playing video games, playing dodgeball, or just enjoying the company of my family. I have a beautiful family, and I'm not scared to show it. So
I'm proud of it.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Anything either one of you would like to leave with everybody before we get out of here?
Dodgeball is the best sport ever played.
Sure.
That's real talk. That's real talk.
Soccer player ever.
First black soccer player USC. What up? Fight on, baby. Let's go.
Hey, thank you for having us. It was another honor. I love to see you doing your thing. It's great. So we appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Forever. Let's go. And I want to give a final thank you to all the fans watching this, to my patrons. Thank you so much. Obviously, you get this first before anybody else. That's one of the benefits of being a patron, and I can't do this without y'all. So thank you for that. Obviously, our top tier patrons are getting to that on Friday of this week. The $1 patrons are getting it on Monday, and the public will see this the following Friday. So obviously, it pays to be on the inside, to be in Wakanda. That's what's up. We are going to be coming back at this next week with Brielle. Brielle is another famous Twitcher, actually the girlfriend of Chris Saint. She literally went from obscurity to a superstar in, I think she said, 6 months? So we're going to really get in like a deep dive into how you can really become a live streamer, a Twitch gamer, all that kind of stuff. That's something that interests you. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you again to Vince and Leila. You guys were wonderful, and I will see y'all next time. Now I'm going to have to edit the end of this because my computer decided to fail. This is ridiculous. And